Mike Gill and Crash.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Crash. We got a very important podcast. Just like our last few have been important. We've been moving the ball and the pieces on the board and putting them in check. I want to, again, start by having you understand what you're looking at, right? Paths, I've told you, and I've been telling you. Maxwell, the Epstein files, is a path. Now remember, Maxwell was hiding in New Hampshire in an LLC that I discovered. Maxwell was represented by Bill Shaheen and his law firm, who's on my 50 million, who I told you was the principal architect of the laundering network, not of the deep state, but globally. Remember, that's what Pandora Papers with their 935 billion cracked in New Hampshire. Maxwell was arrested under the authority of Andrew Lullen, the same U.S. attorney that was taking my evidence. It is completely connected. Why? Because it is paths. Remember, all these people I'm going to mention as in my life. Shaheen was my lawyer. I discovered was the principal architect of the laundering network. Maxwell's names, why she was in New Hampshire, she was targeting and using your money, the money of the deep state that they stole from you, which is why you're 37 trillion in debt and why we're sitting on a bubble ready to blow. It's all connected, all of it. She went there for blackmail. What was Epstein and Maxwell principally? Blackmailers and money launderers. She was blackmailing them with their money. What did the Commerce Secretary call Epstein? The greatest blackmailer in history. All right? That's who they are. And now Trump's weighing about letting her go. Immunity. Okay? Now that's one path that I'm directly connected to. Let's go to the other path that we just did a podcast, Crash and I, just recently, last Friday. It showed you the money laundering network. That is the Pandora's box. That is what they did with your money. A series of casinos, most importantly, Penn National. Who was it tied to? Who was Penn National partners with? Donald fucking Trump. The Taj Mahal. And then it broke down to a series of networks of money laundering. From Manafort, Stone, and you'll see the network, offshore network, okay? That evidence is another path. That path went to the same Lullen who snatched Maxwell, the same Bill Shaheen who wanted to pay me 50 million along with the IRS. And as long as we're on the IRS, I just want you to know, they just stopped my Social Security, a fraud alert. Listen, I buy groceries at the same fucking store each and every week, all right? Not a fraud alert.
Yeah,
it's a squeezing me right
bullshit.
now.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Everything is connected. There are no accidents. Understand this. Maxwell goes through the path through New Hampshire, the same principles. The Pandora's box, the same principles. Shaheen, the IRS, the banking department, the banking commissioner, and Lullen owns it. Lullen owns it, and the key and why I'm alive, the recording of the Treasury Inspector General, the sealed envelopes that Lullen asked to receive by hand, my hand, under camera. They own it. What did he do with it? Send it to AG Barr and Sessions. Okay? That's two paths. I'm in each one. Today's about the third path, the insurrection. Now, I want you to understand what the insurrection did. What these criminals, this Flynn organization, the plot of the Department of Justice, the CIA, infiltrating your minds with hobgoblins and bullshit, and you buying it. I just something today. We got Nino and Juan together again, and they've got Trump with an umbrella going into a plane saying, there's the sign.
The storm's coming.
The storm before the calm. The
Calm
storm's
before the-
coming.
Yeah.
Listen, if there's an asshole out there that doesn't want to have his head rained on, it's Donald fucking Trump. But that's how they played you. Trump's got an umbrella. That's the sign. It's a sign you're a knucklehead if you believe that bullshit. That's the sign. But to my point is, they turned around these podcasters, these influencers. What did they do? They had you show up to J6. Many of you went to prison. They divided a country of hatred. That was the intention. There is no good guys. The DOJ is not. Who do you think protected all of this? They didn't open Pandora's box either. They didn't open Epstein's files either, now did they? What was Flynn? An orchestration of the DOJ. But we've got a spin, folks. First rule of the DOJ, as all these other assholes, is self-preservation. That's what we're also watching with Trump. But let's remember the damage they did to this country. Has Republicans and Democrats been so divided? That's the white hat, black hat bullshit they were selling you. And you know what? It's created the hatred across this country. It was manufactured intentionally. That was Flynn. That was the insurrection plan. That was to have you get your eyes off the ball. The ball is the DOJ, the corruption of our government. We just had Tucker Carlson say that foreign countries and businesses were hiring women with orgies in Congress. Hey, Tucker, let's give us some names. I'm not doubting any of it because, again, it's blackmail and extortion. That is how your country runs. That is why Trump is kissing the ass of Israel. Who do you think's going to send as a police force and rebuild Gaza? Your dollars and you're broke. They don't give a shit.
And I want to say something real quick, Mike. I
Yeah.
honestly believe that I can't believe I'm saying this, but Q, I believe, separated our country. The people, it was more separating than what I realized. It divided people because now
As its intention.
even during the time that I was following Q, it was a division of, well, they're stupid. They don't know what's going on because we're in Q and we read the drops. I can't talk today.
Right.
And, then they're now, and they called us Q-tards. And now that I'm kind of like, I can't deal with the Q stuff anymore. I'm seeing it's all a big division.
It was one network. Q was Flynn and the CIA. They used the podcasters just as the same. How many of these podcasters were decoders? I mean, real fucking morons were decoders. This is the damage they done to your mind, to your brain, to the protection of this corruption, sent you on false things. And what happened? That gentleman, I think you remember, was suing Flynn about being Q.
Right.
And they put it off.
Yeah.
They know what they had. And Stacy Burke suing Flynn for the insurrection. She was part of it. She was part of the Flynn team, the whole thing. Remember? And then Stacy Burke in that meeting, which that meeting in Arizona keeps playing a bigger and bigger part. 98% CIA. That was Shelby Bush.
Shelby Bush, yeah.
You're right. They manipulated and divided this country intentionally. They robbed this country and didn't say a word. They kept you misinformation, misdirection, and you went for it. So understand the damage and what they're responsible for and the liability of these podcasters, these influencers, these Q people. Understand this. And we're going to go into it in a form of a story so you understand it. But we're going to put a period at the end of those sentences for you. But that's what I want you to understand. 3 paths. Now we're going to take you on the insurrection path. I want you to understand the damage that they've done to this country. Fully understand. As these podcasters sold you gold and sold you on the insurrection and the election fraud. Before we go, I want you to understand this. Ready? Is there election fraud? Sure there is. I mean, is there ballots, handwritten ballots? Listen, if you go through where I confronted the Secretary of State, I caught election fraud. What you didn't catch was the fixed race. Right? You didn't catch the trick. Here's the trick, boys and girls. They put you on Dominion because it wasn't Dominion. They gave you a losing hand to buy in with, right into the fucking sunset with, and you did. And you stormed the Capitol, just like Vandersteel and Alex Jones, right? It was a losing hand. The DOJ didn't set them out without a winner. You got it? You were fucked.
They knew what they were doing.
Of course they did. You better hope I live a little longer, because I don't see any of you bastards reading how these people work. Okay, so you get it? Let's go.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. All right, now let's think this. Who's on? We've got Alex Jones and Mike Lindell together again. Whoa, what's the deal here? Well, it turns out Lindell loses his court case. Alex Jones loses his court case. Really? Are they tied to J6? Yes, they are. Recruiting and putting it out? Yes. Loose ends? You bet you're right. You think Lindell looks like the brains of the operation? It's not a coincidence. The DOJ, now here's the plan. Self-preservation, DOJ. They've got to cut away from the insurrection plot. That's General Flynn. Now he's going to be trying to do some backwater peddling now too. But these guys are ass deep. They ain't letting Lindell go. He was the face of this shit. They can't let Alex Jones go. Well, let's see how Alex Jones is taking it. Hit it. Ready? So in other words, this is planned separation. Oh, you know what? Turns out he's not taking it well. That crybaby piece of shit. Hit it. But understand now, that's the process of the separation. These are the hands-on insurrectionists. So when you stop, if you can get Alex Jones to stop crying, why don't we have him go over, I don't know, who's paying the bills? We got Shulman, Mercer, and Rosenwald. I don't think that's an Irish tea. Now who do we got? James O'Keefe, right? Funded by Robert Shulman and InfoWars. Oh, we got Lori Loomer. If you remember our last podcast, Lori Loomer embraced
Laura.
Bobby Shulman, Dr. Bob. In fact, he paid her generously while she worked for James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. Oh, who else we got? We have InfoWars. Okay? So in other words, when you get him done crying, ask him, have you been funded by the Mossad? Have you been funded by Shulman? What did we find out? Kirk had an argument with Shulman and he wound up dead? I don't know. Is that a lead? Right. That's the Mossad. That's Israel. That's who's blackmailing the Senate and the Congress and the president. We are all in danger. The future of this country is in danger if our enemies of this country can blackmail these politicians. And listen, they sell cheap. They sell cheap. All right, hit it.
We're also in danger if our president is blackmailing people just to.
You're damn straight. What do you think he's doing? Now, remember, the DOJ could have opened this. Now, listen. Now, let's start the story. We've got Trump suggesting to pardon. I'm going to talk to the DOJ about pardoning Maxwell. What? You know, the drain the swamp bullshit. You don't hear that anymore. Well, who went to jail and drained the swamp? Well, they snuffed Epstein in jail. You don't think they were worried about he could say something, as they are now. And you got Maxwell, who you're moving to let go because Maxwell's leveraging Trump with Trump, which is always trouble. And you know this Michael Cohen, the fixer for Trump? Remember how he was saying, listen, I had nothing to do with Epstein? Well, he changed his fucking story recently. You know what he said? He said he was handling a case with a 14-year-old girl, Jane Doe, and they gave a false name. And they dropped the case. Why? From intimidation from his investigators. All right? So Trump's been front and center with Epstein from the beginning. In fact, Michael Wolff, what did Michael Wolff say? He was only the autobiographer of Trump and Epstein. And he said the dispute with Epstein and Trump started when Epstein showed Trump a property in
Florida. I can't remember that.
Florida.
I don't know why I always think of
West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach.
That's because we seem to be far away from it. West Palm Beach. He showed Trump, he said, hey, I'm buying this property for $36 million. Trump the next day bid $40 million and got the property. Trump then sold it to a Russian oligarch for $90 million. That's how you money launder, folks. And then what did Wolf say, the biographer of both? That Trump turned Epstein into the cops, the West Palm Beach cops. Where did this thing start? West Palm Beach cops. Hello, Pam fucking Bondi. See? And listen, who's in the Pandora's box? Is it just Republicans? I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Is Bill Gates still a Democrat? Is Bill Clinton still a Democrat? So we've got oligarchs, Democratic presidents. They're all in it. All right. Now, every time Trump got in trouble, before he get to put his ass in jail, what does he mention? Pandora's box. Now, he's in Pandora's box, just like he threatened with the Epstein files. Remember? Epstein files. He gets elected. He goes, what the hell are you talking about? Right. The same thing with this Pandora's box. Okay, hit it. So,
Mike, you're never this quiet. I don't know if I have the right one, but that's what I have on my list here.
No, it's fine. So, in other words, he threatened with both Epstein files and Pandora's box.
Sorry, I thought you were going to read that tweet or that True Social tweet there. That's what I was waiting on.
No, that's okay. So, in other words, now remember now, in the title, right? Never invite the Pandora's box to the insurrection. This was the insurrection. Now remember who's there: Powell, Flynn, Burns, and Giuliani. Now think about this. What did Jack Smith say? I own your lawyer. Here's Giuliani right there, right? Now, if you turn around on that day, what did Flynn and Powell do on that day and why? On December 18th, 2020. That's right. Get in touch with Mike Gill. Again, there's 335 million of you. But again, it lands on my nest, as did Maxwell, as did Flynn. What did Flynn, all his podcasters, tell you who I was? The greatest whistleblower in history, the closer, one of the most important people in our time. How did they know that? All right, hold on, Craig. How did they know that? Now, remember that meeting. Jack Smith called that, pointed to that meeting. He was prosecuting that meeting. He had immunities with people in that meeting. How about Flynn? How about Powell? How about Giuliani? Remember, if Trump lost the election, they were going after Trump. Trump would have been convicted. And you know who would have turned? Flynn, Powell, and Giuliani. All right? Those were the spin jobs. They were going to get immunity deals, separate themselves from the insurrection, say it was Trump. Now listen, Trump's all over it now because, again, it's leverage against the DOJ. A leverage as in the Epstein files. Why didn't you open them? You protect. Listen, there's nobody not guilty. My Pandora's box proves to the Department, the U.S. Attorney Lullen, and two attorney generals of the United States were guilty and had this evidence. All right? So follow that. Now, again, why me? Why me? Because this is the evidence that I had. That one Pandora's box opened everything. And that's why I had to stop if that insurrection was to work. But remember, the path now still here in this podcast is the insurrection. Hit it. So now we've got them communicating with me on the initiation of the insurrection. Okay? Now I have proof that Ariel knows Elvira's CIA. That's Michelle Moore. saying that Elvira is CIA, hit it, which he is. They all were. And let me see if I can go here and read it better for you. And just highlights, really. Okay. Now, Elvira himself is talking about Ketchel and that Boone Cutler hired him. Uh-oh. What happened to Boone Cutler? They just said he died? Who did? Flynn? Do you see the autopsy, anybody? What you're seeing here is cutting ties to Flynn. Because Flynn's going to flip. They want to cut the ties. All of a sudden, Boone Cutler wound up dead. Or gone. But here you go. But this is Elvira saying this. Flynn retained our services, provide intelligence, certain people. I caught the crew working for manipulating my reports. They are former special ops folks. One of them team is who Seth Ketchel had an affair with, ended a marriage. I quit working for the team. The whole thing is one. Goes all the way to Sidney Powell, with Carissa Ketchel works for. Wait a minute. Carissa Ketchel reaches out to me, working for Flynn. As it turns out, she works for Powell, but representing Flynn at that time, and again from the Oval Office. So this puts Elvira in that team. Even though he says he hates Flynn, he's firmly in the Flynn team. Cutler was in the middle of J6. Cutler was in the middle of J6? Oh, it's too bad he's fucking dead suddenly, like days ago. Jesus Christ. And he said they've never been arrested. Right, that seems to be a running theme here. None of these assholes go to jail. You do. They don't. Remember now? Lindell, he was there. O'Keefe was there. Jones was there. Vandersteel was there. None of them went to jail. Okay, let's go. But now we've taken you to the CIA operation, right? We've seen the connection, even the acknowledgement of Michelle Moore, who's also CIA. Opens the trial, attorneys spread claims about Dominion because he was triggered. Wow. Mike Lindell was triggered. Now listen, the guy's a moron. So he had to be fed. We're going to show you in a minute who's been feeding him. But triggered. Now, who triggered him? Now, wait a minute. Mary Fanning's, I think, named 34 times in that lawsuit with Dominion under Lindell. Okay, we're going to get to Mary. Scary Mary, I think we're going to call her from now on. Go ahead. Go hit the next one. Now, what did Dominion say? Dominion saying there's no realistic possibility that we will settle their lawsuits with Rudy, Mike Lindell, or Sidney Powell, giving the devastation harm they've done to the company. Never. Well, never didn't turn out to be that long a time now, did it? Hit it. So the intention wasn't to settle. Dominion quickly settles lawsuits against Giuliani and others. It's for its sale, but it's still suing Lindell. Oh, well, let's take away. You know who else they let go? Powell. Shh, don't tell anybody. But Powell worked for the DOJ. Powell was part of the insurrection plan. Hey, I don't see anybody like Flynn getting fucking sued either. Oh, isn't that interesting?
Or Mary Fanning, right? I mean,
Oh, Mary Fanning. I was going to save that one, but you're right.
oh,
Mary
sorry.
Fanning. No, that's all right. Because I do forget sometimes, right? So in other words, hey, they didn't get sued. And they all got let go. So let's take a look at this. So who's left? Lindell, low-hanging fruit. Patrick Burns, you're going to see his crybaby ass in a minute. You see, somebody's got to take the hit. All right. So let's hit this. We got that.
Are you reading this at all, Mike, or is this?
Well, I was going to try to read it from the screen, but I'll read this. A profile of Mary Fanning, a source in Mike Lindell's Ultimate Truth. You know what? You're going to hear ultimate proof and truth a few times here. Was finally located how the profile is based on a stolen identity from a different Mary Fanning. But we got the right bitch, where the claims of the same woman. cited in Ultimate Truth. It's not who posted. It's Fanning. Fanning is what fed. So if Mike Lindell's been triggered, it was Flynn who triggered him. Remember, he says the national security advisor, and he said 34 times in the lawsuit, Mary Fanning. Now, why aren't those two arrested for treason? Hit it. See? Now, remember Juan, how he feeds Nino? Mary Fanning was feeding Lindell. With absolute, married that absolute again, with absolute peril. Is Fanning in her bullshit. Oh, and General McNerney, another fucking general, another fucking colonel, all on the John B. Wells show. Wow. And she's a producer on John B. Wells. I find that very interesting. You're going to find it even more interesting as we go. Right. So absolute peril followed up by absolute proof, which is all everybody's fucking lying. How's that for absolute bullshit? Now, who we got produced this movie and this show and Lindell on stage? Mike Lindell, yeah, he wrote shit. He barely wrote his fucking name. Brennan House. Oh, that's right. We need the religion figure on this. Remember, they're moving the right, the Christian right. You gotta need Jesus in this. Listen, can we leave Jesus out of this? I got to tell you, I told this to Michelle. The next person that says God bless to me, I'm punching.
You told it to me, not Michelle.
I'm sorry. Thank you again.
We're both having problems today, guys.
Produced by Mary Fanning. So they're hanging Lindell for a bill, and Fanning's the one who produced it and wrote the whole thing, starring Mike Lindell, Brennan House, Mary Fanning, that you don't see. It's like you don't see Ariel, you don't see Juan, you don't see Mary Fanning. Right.
She might have showed her face in this movie. I didn't see the movie.
I don't think she did.
I don't know.
When I read something behind it, they said the voice is in the back. Listen, she's still in hiding. All right, hit it. But they fed Lindell. Oh, he was triggered. And Flynn and Fanning was doing the triggering. Remember, they had to sell you on how they stole the election. In fact, Flynn went around on a bus after 20 trying to arm people. You have the Minister of Retribution, Raiklan, wanting you to go to war. He was suggesting you attack the CIA and the FBI, which is corrupt, but you don't do the fucking attacking. And guess what? Normal people go to jail for threatening the intelligence agencies, unless you're me, and I don't threaten them with death or peril. I'm just going to expose them and put their asses in jail, with 335 million people behind me. So let's go what we have opinions of our girl, Mary Fanning. Let me see if I have to read that. Okay. Zulu. All right. Let's do the highlights. Criticisms. Mike Zullo accused Fanning of attempting to mislead the President of the United States by promoting Montgomery's substantial claims without evidence. They never have evidence. Called her reports inaccurate, derogatory, and potentially libelous toward him and his colleagues. Oh, you mean she's lying? It was all bullshit and lies? Well, yes, it was. Well, let's go on the Kevin ship, which sailed. A rogue intelligence. That's what they're going to call Flynn, by the way. Now, Flynn's doing his cutting up. And anybody below him will be rogue. A rogue intelligence operation. A dangerous hoax that would divide the Republican Party. Divide a country, shithead. Alleged she was drummed out of the CIA after refusing to address the vulnerability she exposed. Out of the what now again? CIA? Shelby Bush, 98% CIA, a Flynn CIA operation. Welcome to the party, folks. And now holds a vendetta against him, warned that figures like Mike Lindell were falling into a trap by associating him. I don't know. What do you think Mike Lindell is thinking now? How's that for a trap? I was triggered. $1 billion, closed this country. He was a sap. But a sap, I guarantee you, leveraged by the IRS. Wow. Sharon Rondeau. portraying Fanning as a potential former CIA operator, using her platform to deflect criticism by labeling distractors as deep state agents. You'd be happy to know that she called Crash a CIA agent.
Well, she called me a Flynn operative.
Oh, okay. Was I
I mean,
the CIA
same,
agent?
same,
Somebody,
but
right. That's what they do, folks. They spin. It's horse shit,
and
and they're counting on you to be pretty fucking stupid.
she only said it because she disagreed with something I said about McInerney. I mean, if you disagree with someone, you disagree. You don't call them names. And
Not unless you're CIA, not unless you
I was
touch.
just going to say that.
Okay, we're even then. So in
Unless
other
you're
words,
fed.
so what I'm saying is it's the sensitivity. Boom, it's the trigger.
Yeah.
We're on this shit. Listen, we're getting it in. But Mary Fanning, I'm tied in too. Tina Peters, me, Fanning, me. Broken convention. You think that's a mistake, folks? All right, let's go. Let's finish this. Promotion Montgomery insistent and faulty claims, ignoring the history of lying. This guy has been lying the whole time. He was a known liar and all this, and they used his information. You can kick that off. So, in other words, it was all bullshit. That was in the lawsuit delivered to Trump on December 18th by Powell, Flynn, Burns, and Giuliani. You get it? The insurrection. The only mistake they made was trying to silence me, think they could hold the Pandora's box, think if I was starving, that I'd break. Well, the DOJ made the same fucking mistake. I'm going out this way, one way or the other. And listen, it can't be. Listen, I'm the one that was rich and famous, shitheads. These guys were shitheads. And you anointed them. I mean, one, the insurance investigator turned out to be JFK Jr. Jeez. All right, hit it. I threw up my mouth a little there. Now, who's else on the stage with Lindell? Who's working with Mary Fanning and part of it? They know they need the religious right. Remember? They're the ones who believe with faith without any proof. Listen, this isn't about religion, politics, or race. Get that through your head. That's part of manipulation. God has nothing to do with this. Either that shithead lying, all right? But I need you to understand the format, the mechanism of how to train you. Hit it. Now, as long as we're dealing still with godly, let's talk to the people who's talking directly to God. Oh, that's Michelle Moore and this Mark Taylor. Mark Taylor's been more wrong than a fortune teller. Have he even changed his name from a prophet to what? Probability? Prophetic?
Prophetic voice.
Right. So in other words, it's again pure bullshit. It's again the far right. And what did they sell you? I don't know. Let's hit it. They sold you ungodly granny. She's still selling. I mean, she's not doing anything else. She's not telling you anything else, but she's selling. And listen, godly granny, let's understand this. Godly, by definition, is like God. Oh, so that woman's like God? And do you love your granny, your mima, your meme? Really? Nice combination. And what was it? A spot up for in the fall lip balm. I mean, you dumb bastards. Hit it. And listen, I'm done baby talking, you guys. We're in a desperate situation and you bought this bullshit. All right. And Vandersteel. Well, wait a minute now. We seem to be having a division now. The ones that are going to get caught in the trap and the ones that are in the trap think are getting out. Vandersteel ain't too happy about, oh, I don't know, Harry Mary? Exactly.
Mary.
So let me see if I can get this. Let's see what Vandersteel has to say about Mary Fanning, who wrote this orchestration and ignited the country. Just a reminder, Mary Fanning is not a real investigative reporter. She is married to an attorney at Kirkland and Ellis who represented the purchase of Dominion voting system by Staple Street Capital. Interestingly enough, William Barr was the consultant to that firm, Kirkland and Ellis. Remember now, the DOJ's payoffs are going into these big law firms who are representing those pharmaceutical companies, healthcare companies, and the fucking cartel. That's the payoff. That's why Lullen went to the same company that
I forget the name, Mike.
Jones something. But anyhow, it's what they feed back into. So Barr going into Kirkland and Ellis is right by the numbers, and it would be who the law firm that was controlled by the DOJ would use. So let's see this again. Now, remember now, Dominion voting system is being sold by the company and represented by Mary Fanning's husband. Well, wait a minute. Fanning's the one who called out Dominion and corrupted, and her husband's selling it and profiting by it. And you know what they're doing? Settling, meaning that company, that lawyer would be involved with the settlement of Giuliani and Powell. Break the presses. The lawsuit versus Dominion Voting Machines Incorporated, Dominion Motion Systems Incorporated, My Pillow Incorporated, and Michael Lindell. Fanning is named 34 times, along with screenshots of evidence used to get Mike Lindell to believe the Hammer and Scorecard story. Lindell gets sued using the report evidence, and she does not. Now, the CIA stormed the Capitol, Vandersteel, knows this because she's in it. And now she's looking at this. She's being thrown under the bus. And she is. So's Lindell. And maybe also Patrick Burns, who seems to be a little nervous about things. All right. So understand what happened here. It wasn't Dominion. They blew Dominion up on Percival. They sold Dominion to a Republican, by the way. And they turned around and let Powell and Giuliani, remember, were they in that room? Right. Flynn never got sued. The only one less from Patrick Burns, and he's sweating blood. Hit it. So keep following the story here. Oh, we're talking about Patrick Burns sweating blood. This just came out this morning, hot off the fucking presses. Patrick Burns unloads on Dominion rebrand. It's a shell game. Organized crime tactics. That bastard is organized crime. His name was all over in the Arizona meeting. Shelby Bush said she received $700,000 from him. Then she tried to spill the bullshit about him working with the FBI to set up Hillary Clinton. You buying that bullshit? On tape, I asked her. I said, simply put, you can't be that stupid. And listen, everything I said on this tape will back it up what I said. All right. And don't think for a second the DOJ got it. If they're going through the insurrection and they got to tag these people with the insurrection, you know they want that tape. Just as they same with Tita Peters is going to turn. And who did Tita's meter? Tita Peters. Remember, it's the two. I'm still learning to talk with a mouthful of gum.
I think your mouth goes, I don't know if your mouth goes faster than your brain or your brain goes faster than your mouth. I haven't figured it out yet, but it's one of those.
Yeah. Well, Patrick Burns warns of a Wall Street rebrand calling Dominion's reported sale a classic three-card Monte. This is organized crime does. The Department of Justice closed to crack the company, hide it inside. All right, ready? They call out the deep history of name swaps, mergers, deposition in the voting machine, and raise alarms about potential betrayal inside Trump's circle. Wait a minute now, think about this. Trump's circle. Is that Flynn, Powell, Giuliani, and Patrick Burns? You're damn fucking straight. The insurrection team, Trump's circle, they're tagging their ass to Trump now because the DOJ is going, we want you. Now, Flynn sitting on the side, you're going to hear what Flynn's got to say about that in a second. Whoever bought this deal to Trump is the traitor. Ooh. Who bought, they sold, so Trump approved the sale of Dominion? Now, who brought it? Oh, let me see who was involved in this deal. Mary Fanning and her husband. Hello, who's the traitor? And they all had. Why don't you ask Patrick Byrne if she likes Mary Fanning? Byrne said Poultice is walking into a trap, and the only answer is hand-counted ballots. Really? Let's stick to the voter fraud because they only hung themselves with it. Remember, Patrick Burns said in an interview, I'm either a great hero or the worst traitor this country ever known. Which one do you think it is, shitheads? You're damn straight. He's a fucking traitor, as they all are. But here's the division. They're separating. DOJ's got to get off, right? If they open up the Epstein files, there's Trump. The Department of Justice has to ask, why didn't you open it up before? Okay? They're in the spotlight. The insurrection, who was behind it? The DOJ. They're in trouble. Who did I give the Pandora's box to? The DOJ at the highest levels of the DOJ. We got a problem, folks. This is the separation. These people are going to take the hit. Now, they deserve to be hung, but they are going to take the hit. That's what you're seeing. That's the division. That's why the top ends of the FBI and the DOJ are all Trump's people. I mean, it was only Bondi who let go of Epstein. Todd Blanche, who's going to give her immunity through the DOJ, that was his personal criminal lawyer. And then you got Bongino and Patel. Every time you look at them, their eyes are crossing. He was on Stu Peters 8 times, Patel, he goes, in the Senate. Well, I don't know who he is. Why isn't he be tried? They're trying Comey. And listen, Comey guilty, they're all guilty. They're all guilty. Listen, you can't blackmail anybody with a lie. Hit it. Well, I just keep following the story. Ann Vandersteel, let's go to her again. Now, why is this important? Mary Fanning's the one who gave me Brummel, the child trafficker, tied to the Flynn organization.
When you say, I'm sorry, Mike, when you say gave me Brummel, did she like give you the information on him that you have?
Yes,
or?
exactly. Okay. She said that Brummel was that child trafficker, that Brummel escaped Canada, which he did.
Yeah.
Went to Florida and stayed at Ann Vandersteel's home, which she never denies, for 3 days.
Well,
now,
yeah,
why?
That it's true, and she made up her whatever her story was, but her husband drove to Canada, as far as I was under the impression. Yeah, so
the whole Dominion scam is still here. Now, why did Fanning say Brummel to me and the child trafficking, and Brummel being part of Evergreen, who was moved, perfect timing, who was moving children under Clinton, but defense intelligence? How about that? So they used the same dirty ass defense intelligence agents moving children and child trafficking for the insurrection. I mean, what did the mafia do? They didn't make somebody unless they murdered somebody. They needed leverage. What did Flynn have on these people? Leverage. What did Mary Fanning, trying to save her ass, use the leverage she had? The knowledge of the child trafficking, the knowledge of Flynn to Brummel. You got it? Blackmail. That's what the CIA does. That's who Fanning was doing there. And you know what they used me for? Blackmail. Why am I still alive? Because I go back to the DOJ with that evidence. What did Flynn use me for? Blackmail. How did Hunter Biden settle with the baby mama with Juan? But having me on the phone. Blackmail. You see? How are we running the country? Israel. What's James O'Keefe, who worked with me on state of corruption, infiltrated my company? Blackmail. He videotapes you. Days to go. All right. Now, you just met this charming sort, Brummel. Hit it. Well, let's see what we did with Brummel. So he goes to Florida. Oh, right, that's it. These were the communications about Brummel. And this is General Flynn and his, remember how Stone says he's got all these child predators in Congress and senators, got them by names. Right, for blackmail, dumbasses. Did he ever give them to you? No. Well, let's go on. And you see, hosted Texas Children, Baylor College, right? Thank you for doing 50 years nobody would do. Again, child trafficking. His digital soldiers, like you. Hit it. And here's some of the names of his digital soldiers, lieutenants and sergeants. But the little bastard right in the middle, Gerald Brummel, a.k.a. Agent Margaritaville. Whoa. Now, Brummel was one of the heads of this, and I had a witness that guarded Brummel. Now, that's why Marty Waters and all these people, Patricia, say, for God's sakes, give us the name. They wanted to know what I knew. And I'll tell you what I told them. Go fuck yourselves. Now, I don't give up witnesses. Now, let's see what one of the digital soldiers said to our boy Flynn. I'm so confused about Gerald Brummel, a.k.a. Margaritaville. I thought you and he were on the same team with Field fighting these satanic pedophiles. Oh, so you bought the bullshit and you thought they were on the same team? Not if you're going to use Brummel as blackmail. And Brummel got himself in trouble in Canada. You know what for? You want disgusting? I'll give you disgusting. For representing the poor people who lost their children and had them stolen. And Brummel was taking money from them to find them. You know, the asshole who stole them. That's who these people are. I mean, if this isn't satanic, what is? Listen, you know what I like to do? You know, I put the cartels' faces on signs. I saw my children. Maybe I lose a child to addiction. I try to imagine with Brummel and these people of having my daughter kidnapped and abused. I think of the Pandora's box the same way. If you could think of it as your child, maybe you'd have a better understanding of this. Because that's exactly how I started State of Corruption. I come from that place. What if it was me? What if it was you and your child? All right, hit it, Fresh. Okay, now let's get to John B. Wells, who has Mary Fanning on almost every fucking day. You know, the Black Shadow, the producer, and these fucking generals. Isn't it interesting? They knew about Brummel. They gave me Brummel. They must know about child trafficking. They don't know that this was a setup. They were awful scared that I'd find out. So let's see what in these communications I had with Wells. All right. That one says, knowing the enemy is how you won the battle, right? Surrounding it like this. That was our last post.
Yeah, these are just your tweets, right? You're just showing your communications here.
This is the DMs between me and John Wells.
Yeah.
So in other words, when I contacted him, what I did was I showed him what we were going to talk about, what I wanted to talk about. That's the opening the Pandora's box. You can hit the next one. That was also the money laundering network that I did with D. Boomasan. I wanted to see that. That's what we're going to talk about. Okay, and that's the flame.
Your backstory is, I don't know if it's on here, but you guys were talking, I guess, on the phone. So we don't have any record of that we can show. Is that right? That you were going to go on his show.
So in other words, this is what led to the phone call and what I wanted to go on the show about. So in other words, now on this phone call with John, we were on for about 40 minutes and he was understanding what I wanted to do. And I spoke about Mary Fanning and how she was part of all this. Then his wife, who was listening for the first, 40 minutes of the 45, popped on the phone. And you know what she says? Mike Lindell's a piece of shit.
So you didn't know she was listening, right?
No, for 40 of the 45 minutes. And then I turned around. So John has my number. I didn't know she was calling Mary Fanning to give her my fucking number. I already told him who Mary Fanning was. I needed to know who they were. You see? What they knew. I called them out. She knew Mary Fanning. So then she's telling me, oh, Mary Fanning called you 10 times. The fuck she did. Now, you ready? This was the last communication, the very last, with John Wells. I'm asking him at the top, time and number to call. It's dead on, no mistakes, meaning what I have is dead on, no mistakes. I'm waiting for his call. He just saw what I gave him. You can hit the next screen, Crash. the text screen. There it is, right? Spoke to your wife, John, tonight. Mary Fanning never called, meaning I called back to John. And you know what John says? Hey, I don't do the scheduling. And the wife called me back. And I told the wife, she called 10 times, right? Did I not answer on the first ring? Yeah, you did. So she was lying. So I saw there, Mary Fanning never called me 10 times. Check her phone. I didn't want her to have my phone. I agreed to go on your show this Monday. I can't, meaning that was that Saturday, big night. And then they came back and said, well, why don't you come on Monday? Well, go fuck yourself. Because who do they have on the show? Well, I'll show you. I can't go on with Fanning Association in your show. Mark my words, that's going to be a big problem soon. Good luck, John. Wish you well. Fanning's threatening giving out my number. I'm holding you responsible. And his response, well, just call it a miss. Good luck. A miss. I ain't missing. I'm on target and it's your ass. Okay, hit it. Now listen, who went on that night? Now this is Fanning, I'm sorry. And Fanning, which these CI bastards do, and this is the nature of the fucking beast, turns around and threatens me with my telephone numbers. Hey, you know that? What is it? 443? That was the one Michelle Moore was giving to Flynn and his group, and they were tracking me all over for over maybe 2 years into Arizona, which is why they all pissed themselves when I lost my phone. Now, the other number is that new number. You know what? Fuck you threatening me. And you know what she's saying? Well, didn't you say your life was in jeopardy to John? Well, what better way to share my number? Who do you think she is? This is the CIA. That is who they all are. All right, hit it. Oh, who shows up that night on the show? Mary Fanning. There you are. You know, and another general, McNerney or something.
McInerney.
McInerney. Right, he was involved too. And they all played stupid. And they were on the fucking show the night I was supposed to be on. Well, now, you know what we did? Now we got the whole picture. We got Fanning. And now it's starting to fall into place. Don't forget, Patrick Burns said that just today about the traitor. Who do you think he's talking about? The husband that Mary Fanning, the husband that was part of the sale of Dominion? I don't know. It's Dominion that's still holding them liable. When you turn around and buy or transfer a company, you buy and transfer the liabilities of that company or the settlements or the damage to that company. Who do you think the traitor is? Now, why are they separating? Because the DOJ is separating. You see all these podcasters? They're all in deep shit. Now, let's see what General Flynn, if I think I'm right, response is.
Okay, just
Give people.
Well, give people a background of what this is, because this doesn't say what it is here.
Okay. Well, General Flynn, in depositions and in public, this is his statement. Ready? I have not know, Flynn said. Flynn, I don't really know. Flynn was asked further about Dominion's involvement in election fraud. Wait a minute. You sent a lot of people to prison, divided this country, and you don't know about election fraud? And he claimed to have seen a lot of evidence, from Fanning, and read a lot of reports from Fanning, but he couldn't confirm the so-called evidence was credible. Okay, there's the disclosure, boys and girls. That's Flynn separating from, the contagion when they blow these assholes up. I didn't know anything. I didn't know it was critical. Listen, was he at J6? Was he pumping you? Was he going around on a school bus for 4 fucking years taking your money about insurrection, about election fraud? But when he's under oath, he goes, I don't know. Let me see. Confirmed so-called evidence was credible. I don't know. Uh-oh. Remember how we were going to the contagion of the podcasters? Well, he had something to say about that too. Well, let's see. What does exposing the Flynn networks have to do with anything? Can you explain, please, what are these networks? I'd like to know. Oh, so you have no tie-in to any of these people. You don't have one on. You're not feeding Nino. You're not feeding all these CIA Jacos, right? The MG, reading the Q cards. And yet you're Q. You don't have, that's another separation. Separation from the insurrection about voter fraud. Lindell, listen, he's telling Lindell, I don't have any credible proof. That doesn't put Lindell in a good position on Patrick Burns or Alex Jones. And then he's turning around as far as the podcasters. In fact, I've heard him say, well, they're crazy, they're nuts. But here's the separation again. The Flynn network. Here, General Flynn, when you want to exposing the Flynn networks, maybe you shouldn't describe them as the Flynn network, you shithead. I mean, listen, these people aren't geniuses. I've dealt with real businessmen. I've dealt with these fucking DOJ lawyers. They're the ones pulling the strings. This guy's saying, you know what, Tony Soprano, what do we have in the Godfathers and all those movies? Remember Mikey Corleone, the Godfather? Crash didn't see it. But he goes, it was one of the soldiers go, we have a lot of buffers, Senator. That's buffers, boys and girls. And who was talking to Flynn directly? Boone Cutler? Oh, and he gets smoked. Or he's in hiding somewhere because he's tied to these assholes. And we'll just finish with this. Ready? General Flynn. How about MK Ultra for life? You know who he's talking to? Elon Musk. Who goes, how about MK Ultra? They're laughing with fucking with your heads. You get it? Who's in Pandora's box but oligarchs? Who's in it? But world leaders. Blackmail and extortion. Who's running this country? Less and less you. You think voting these people in, I know. Well, vote them out. There couldn't be anything more stupid or spoken. You don't vote out shit. They don't get in that position for you to vote for if they're not already owned. Everyone in the Senate and Congress, which is why Elon Musk, and the big balls and the Doge never audited the Senate or the Congress. You know what you would find? Corruption. You know what Tucker found? Orgies. I mean, Jesus. Who do you think's in Pandora's box? I got Senator Shaheen and Hassan. Senator Shaheen in one of the hearings with Patel was Bondi actually said, you turned around and blocked the evidence of the flight logs. Of course she did. They're all in the box. None of them want it open. You see? But if it does open, the DOJ's got to spin. And if you don't open it, the DOJ's going, we're still in trouble. That insurrection ties back to us. Flynn and those knucklehead podcasters selling gold and lip balm are a problem. You don't think Nina would fold under questioning? It's open. Then you got Fanning turning around and her husband selling Dominion. They're separating. And you got Vandersteel, you bastard. And Wells, his wife, going, hey, he's a piece of shit, Lindell. Because they threatened them. They are CIA. And what the DOJ's got to do, that's why Powell was one of them. She was appeals attorney for the DOJ. Who would have written a lawsuit that would lose an appeal but the person who would catch your appeal? Bingo. Giuliani, we just had a CIA agent said to expunge his record. Giuliani wanted $2 million. Now that podcast is out there. They're corrupt. They're tied it. So when Jack Smith turns around, and now they're hitting Jack Smith. Jack Smith had those immunities. What happened to those 77 witnesses? What happens if those immunities was Flynn, Powell, Giuliani? Listen, Giuliani just settled. Do you remember that those two women in Georgia was chasing us down for his fucking watches? What do you think you paid him with? Hair dye? I mean, Jesus. See? So that's the separation. That's the worry. Who gave us the information of the Pandora's box with that Penn National was partners with fucking Trump, but the DOJ. That puts Trump in the money laundering and leverages him with that. That is Pandora's box. Remember, That's why Trump would threaten with Pandora's box every time they looked like they were going to throw his ass in jail, just like he threatened with the Epstein files. Now he's in both, but as long as you're going to put me in jail for the rest of my life, I'm taking you assholes with me, which is the natural defense, which is also why he doesn't open up anything. But the DOJ's got to save themselves. You might just be upset when Maxwell takes a walk and they don't open the Epstein files. They may just turn around. Another path to them is that insurrection, which is all lies. What are we saying? The insurrection, that the people in there were FBI agents. What did Elvire call them? Special ops, intelligence? You're damn straight, assholes. It was all a setup, as these podcasters. And they invited me. I didn't want to use the invite. They opened the door to block me to the insurrection on December 18th. They forget who built the Pandora's box, and I entrapped smarter bastards than those people. And what did they do? Take me through the podcast world? Say I was a superhero? I never flipped. I tell you who Juan was. I told you each podcast. I told those podcasters to themselves. They were CIA. All of them. Michelle and Godley were sending me to my death in Arizona. They were going to blame it on the cartel, not Flynn. It was Flynn. It was Michelle Moore. And before that, who wanted to make a movie with me and smoke my ass? Elvire. Who was Elvire connected to? Matthew Tuccaroni? The same asshole who was bringing me there? Listen, it all what it is. But again, I'm still alive. Now, the DOJ didn't want to kill me. They need me. They got to spin this insurrection. If I get smoked, they go to Flynn and go, hey, Gill was part of all of this. Gill was in that Arizona meeting. Gill is who you reached out with. The DOJ ain't going to take credit for it. They're going to say it was Flynn. Flynn went rogue. Flynn was working for Trump. Now, I'm telling you, that's exact. And in 20 years, tell me when I was wrong. I'm telling you, this is exact. All these pieces don't move together simultaneously. All these people doesn't connect to one person, me. That's the Pandora's box. Now, when I exposed the cartel was the path in the Pandora's box, what did we take out? Right after I do the show with Dee Boomason, 2 weeks later, the Sinaloa cartel, Miami, Houston, Phoenix, and Franklin, New Hampshire. It was my evidence in Miami. It was being brought in with the Coast Guard. I brought you to Texas, including Laredo, with shipping of bringing back fentanyl and children, bringing down assault weapons. You know, Gene Shaheen, assault weapons with the military. And then Arizona, they sent me there to get smoked. I didn't trace them down to that. That's why Ariel knew the names of the Sinaloa cartel politicians. It was in the bank already. They turned around and sent me screaming Sinaloa cartel. Hey, listen, as soon as I met broker convention, all of a sudden they were off the cartel. They wanted me out and threatened my life even that night to leave. You know, 35,000 of you watched the podcast. And we broke 300,000, I don't know, multiple times. They were watching. That's why Michelle had them send CIA agents to meet me. Hey, do you need money? Anybody funding you? They wanted to know how the fuck I knew. Have you figured out yet how I knew of all this? Maybe I wasn't a dumbass to start with. Maybe I became the world champion of thoroughbred, the richest men in the world. You know who finished second, third, fourth, and fifth? Crown Princes of Saudi Arabia. An American will never win that title. You see them spending multi-millions for horse racing? They're money laundering again, folks. Trump gave them a pass, 100%. He gave the tax cut to all the oligarchs. And you got the bill. And you got the tariffs. And what are they coming up saying? The question is not about a bubble, but when? You're the bubble. Your homes. And what are they trying? Digital currencies? They're trying to track you, leverage you. Think about the IRS and AI. You want a fucking nightmare? And there's a nightmare. And it's all because you're going to figure it out. And it's now containment. And it's the money of these oligarchs. Musk is getting into the military and Space Force. He turned around and didn't like what Trump did. He told you he was in the Epstein files. When did he know? Who else did he know? Who told him? You see,
Yeah.
You didn't get that. When he told you you were going broke, and you are. He didn't solve the problem. And when the mention of the Senate and Congress and corruption, Musk is saying, you can Google this. Oh, if I start talking about corruption, I'll be assassinated. Well, the richest man in the world can't buy protection. I can't buy a tooth, shitheads. And they just shut down the Social Security. You want to understand this? And yet I'm doing it. I'm doing it because what this is more than me. Always has been, which is why I sacrificed anything. This gives you a shot. This is telling you, you know, those are the paths. And when you turn around, you demand the Epstein files open. You demand Pandora's box open. You demand the investigation of what caused this insurrection and this division of this country and what they're hiding. It is all in front of you. I am connected to each and every path. So you know what? There is hope. There is hope if you find courage. You know what I hate about cowards? They get brave men killed. And you know what? There's not many people behind me. I don't see them. Tucker Carlson's not giving you fucking names. Give them names. Don't give them storylines. Who's in the orgy? You don't tell me you don't know who's in the Pandora's box, that they're taking money and bribes. How do you think Israel runs this country? You're not seeing that? Why the involvement in Ukraine if they weren't the trading partners, the money laundering partners of this country? I gave you that in 19 and told you I was up to my ass in Ukrainians before you could find it on a map and you knew that there was any Ukrainian wars. How did I know that? I knew that from the LLCs and the transfers in New Hampshire. That is what Pandora Papers tracked. I am what outed what they were moving the money into. And think about 935 million. It's the trillions. That was one move. It's the trillions they stole from you. Trump put you on another 2 or 3 million in the hole. You were already paying 76 cents of every tax dollar to the debt. It's interest. It's like you were living on credit cards. That's the bonds. And now all of a sudden, even the feds are saying, Jesus, I don't know. We keep on cutting. We'll get inflation. You think inflation went away? You think the confidence in our dollar went away? Why do you think Trump moves into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? Make believe. You want to crash this country? Use make believe. Turn around and lose your homes. Lose your jobs. And see where you are. Remember, and you could check CNBC, and it was on 60 Minutes this last week. Ready? Not if a bubble, when's the bubble? And then he's comparing it to 1929. It's going to be worse. In 29, you had farmers. Guess what's happening to the farmers with these tariffs? They're going broke. They're going broke. These assholes didn't calculate that, what they're due to our farmers, which is the backbone of this country. We already lost manufacturing. What did Trump say? Well, we're going to put manufacturing in. It's a fucking lie. A lie. Those years it would take the infrastructure to build that industry is a lie. Now you're destroying the farms in this country. Watch what happens to the prices then. It's all a manipulation to get you. That's why that big, beautiful bill was so important. It was the nail in your coffin. It was their tax breaks, it's the oligarchs. And this country opens the door. Oh, who's coming through the door? The Chinese. That same 60 Minutes commercial told you about Lexington, Massachusetts, Littleton, Massachusetts, and how the Chinese was getting into the water system, owning the property around that, in the computers. What did we do on one of our podcasts? Which indicated that the Chinese bought the land around the Nashua, New Hampshire water supply. What did we do in the same podcast? Told you how China's moving into Maine. The whole top connection of the state connected to Canada is owned by the Chinese. Who moved into the Maine? Penn National in the money laundering network. So when you have these people, reporters over there questioning, well, how did this happen? Nobody went to jail. No one's doing anything about it. It's the DOJ, shithead. It's who arrests them. The FBI is an extension of the DOJ. They arrest them. DOJ makes the case. They don't arrest them unless they have a case. The DOJ. So why is it happening? I don't know. Let's ask Trump. He only okayed 600,000 screaming Chinamen to go to our colleges who are already radicalized. Now, we're chasing down the guy picking apples and tomatoes, arresting his children, but we're inviting the Chinese over. Who do you think's a greater risk? And if you can be blackmailed, you get what you want. As a country, we have to look at the president, every single politicians, our intelligence agencies, and examine them independently, open to the people. No more quiet bullshit. No more secret tapes. Up front and center. Every American needs to know, what is the condition of this country? What is all these people? Are they blackmailable? Are they controllable? And you know what you're going to find out? Oh, what did Julian Assange say? 98% of Washington's corrupt. 98% Shelby Bush CIA. You think we got a problem? You're looking, ready? 1%, 2%. That's it. That's it. Anybody telling you the truth? You want to know if that's it? Who's telling you this? And tell me where this doesn't right by the numbers. You tell me why I was connected to all of these entities and people. All of them. I asked AI. And you know what they said? It's impossible. I'm a numbers guy. It's impossible. I'm an odds guy in racing. It's impossible. So why are they on my doorstep? That's why. Why am I alive? Because I'm black man. Why do these podcasts, these videos that I use with State of Corruption are still up? When you sneeze, they take you down. They're up because it incriminates the Department of Justice. We get to go to Lullen. Jones Day is the law firm, by the way. And Kurt and Gowdy, Trey Gowdy, he's part of it too. That's how it works. Anyhow, I connect with every single one. There's no mistake. I'm alive because I'm blackmailed. Now the DOJ is going to use me. That's why they're waiting on Anagos. Anagos opens the day. What does that guy take $250 million from Gill? Listen, it ain't about the money. I assumed I was dead. And listen, it wasn't like they didn't come. If it wasn't for Ged recording the Treasury Inspector General and Titka and those sealed envelopes to Lullen, and that's why Lullen turned around and incepted it. Why is the top guy doing it? Because he didn't want anybody below him being able to leverage him. Bullshit goes up. What did he go with? AG, Washington Bureau FBI. Hey, listen, shitheads, if this comes back to me, I'm saying you. And that's how Flynn got the call. But they were on me with O'Keefe. That's the Mossad. That's Lori Lomer at the same time, who's already told you he's taking money from Shulman. And again, if you can get Alex Jones to stop whimpering, ask him about Shulman and who's paying the bills. All right.
I'm sure she'll.
Yeah.
Is that it, Mike?
That's it.
All right.
Unless you want more. But how about this?
I
Let's
feel like
leave
I'm
it to
being
save
quoted.
the country. Let's use it to turn around and get our country back before it's too late. And if you can find something more important, please tell me. Please tell me. And when we get, 1,800 views, know that I am being screened. Know that I am being watched. But the few who see this, you have a responsibility to share it. And you, meaning to news agencies, regardless of Republicans or Democrats, news agencies, these big influencers, Tucker Carlson, all these assholes, you get them to everybody. That's not on us. We're doing what we can. It's on the multitude. And remember, when this shit comes, you didn't do this, and when everything I've said happens, you knew and did nothing. And they're going to come to me. If they don't kill me, one side's looking for me, which is why Fanning's threatening with the numbers. The DOJ, who could find me, don't want me dead. Not yet, because it then goes back to questions. Hey, what did you do with Gill's evidence? That's why I'm alive. Handing it to Lullen, they could have had deniability. Oh, I didn't get it. You got it under candor, bitch. So now you own it. You marked it, described it, and sent it to Barr. That's why I'm alive. That recording. Only reason. Okay, crash.
All right. Until next time.
How many hours over?
See ya.